Now I want to talk about somebody else who possibly could be on the hot seat, and that name is Ryan Bartholomew Poles.
No,
I don't know if that's his middle name or not, but I'm rolling with it.
it fits.
It is until he wins some games. Because realistically speaking, when you look at Ryan Poles, everything that we're mad about Matt Eberflus for, you also have to attribute to Ryan Poles.
Mm-hmm.
You mad about the record? Ryan Poles, same record. You mad about the offensive line that Matt Eberflus seems to not, his coaching staff seems to not be able to coach up? Ryan Poles picked him. You mad about the coaching staff that can't seem to be able to coach up offensive linemen? Ryan Poles picked him. And so my question is, while the team is clearly better, while there is a much better situation for the Bears to be in, I think offensively you definitely have better weapons on the team if they're utilized the right way. I think defensively you can still say that this is a defense that, I mean, listen, we can be upset by how the games are going with the bend but don't break style of defense, but they're not giving up points on a consistent basis. To only one game over 20 or two games over 21 points this season. Like that's ridiculous. As far as the run defense stop somebody, that'd be nice. But I mean, you're talking about a team that's been pretty well built over the last couple of years. And I don't think that anybody would disagree with that, but you do have to have the conversation on if we're so done with Flus, he brought this guy back. He's the one that put confidence in him. The cosign of Matt Eberflus to me is one of the biggest malpractices I've seen in football in a while, when you kind of knew this guy already was cheeks. But should Ryan Poles be feeling this hot seat as well?
Look, we called Ryan Poles King Poles for a reason a couple of years ago when, he completely fleeced the Carolina Panthers and set us up for success year after year, possibly, right? We got a lot of really good pieces out of that trade. You got DJ Moore, you got Darnell Wright, you got Caleb Williams eventually, and you still got a second round pick that you're hanging on to for this upcoming year that you could possibly address, your protection on. But this is a results-based business, and year to year, you're to be evaluated. And so now we're 2 years removed from that trade. We can sit here and say, man, that was one of the better trades ever in history. We can put that up there, right? But at the same time, the track record is starting to kind of slow down a little bit. Nate Davis has not been a hit. There's certain things that you've done. You addressed the depth over this offseason with the offensive line, but you didn't address the talent level. You didn't address, hey, there are guys that were out there. Even though Connor Williams just retired, he was still available at least for 6 or 7 weeks of your season. I wouldn't mind a good 6-week span of Connor Williams. You had Cam Robinson. You had Wyatt Teller possibly that you could go after. You had Brandon Scherf. You had names that you just passed up on. Now, I'm not saying that we know the conversations that were had behind closed doors, or if there were phone calls that were made, whatever attempts he made, because we know Ryan Poles to be an aggressive GM, if he goes after what he wants. We've seen that when he gave up the second-round pick for Chase. We've seen it. But now the question is, what are you doing for me lately in a sense? And that's what I want to know from Ryan Poles. What are you doing for me lately that doesn't put you on the hot seat? And as far as I'm concerned, I feel like this offseason is going to be the answer to that question, whether or not that seat is burning or if it's cooling off. I'll give him some grace and still say I don't think he's necessarily on the hottest of seats, but that seat is there, and I got my little fire right here. I got my torch ready.
Got a little Wayne fire going. Yeah,
It's flickering. It's flickering. Actually, you know what? I like a blowtorch better. It's a little bit.
Oh, hey, just burning them immediately. Just going right after it.
I got a blowtorch in my hand, and I'm moving towards the seat. I'm not there yet. I haven't touched the seat yet. But you're getting there. You're on thin ice, and so that's why I say this offseason is so important. Which is why I feel like he didn't do anything at the middle of the season at the trade deadline, because he probably knows, hey, this is my time to really fix all of these issues. I know I probably screwed up this season. And so Next season, this is my in a sense swan song. If you don't get it right, then yes, you're right there with Matt Eberflus, because you are right. You retained Matt Eberflus. You have that same horrible record. You have those historical losses on your record as well.
Yeah.
You have the 1.68 million whatever percentage that you mentioned yesterday on your record as well. So there's
1
that.
in 68 million chance.
Jesus, you said it's better to try the lottery.
It's better to win the Illinois lottery than Matt Eberflus having a chance to lose all 6 of those games.
I got it. We probably have a better chance of getting Kyle Shanahan than winning.
Matt Eberflus had of winning all of those games. But no, I mean, dog, if we're being honest, like it's I don't know. Like I don't have an answer for how bad Matt Eberflus has been, but I do have an answer for the fact that you decided to retain this guy. You said that he's the guy that can go out there and keep your young quarterback, or to teach your young quarterback year one. He's the guy you want the culture built around. He's the guy that you want to that you want your organization to mimic. That's the guy that you selected to be the face of the Chicago Bears, and it's just bad. And it continues to get worse. It continues to get more comical. It continues to like when you talk to these guys in the locker room, they're like, I don't know how we're finding ways to lose some of these games. And we're all going, we don't know either. I'm trying to figure it out as well. Like it's sad to see a Chicago Bears team that looks like it should have all the talent in the world, and literally none of it has turned into what you thought it was going to be. No matter who you put in place, no matter how much they go out there and win, you go out and get a dude that everybody's like, this guy kind of is like Luke Getsy. Even that part of it. You know what I mean? You're talking about going out and getting a guy who literally had some of the same things that other guys had that were also bad for your team. And you were just like, nah, we're not paying attention to that. That's not a problem. We don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like, for me, that reason alone is a reason for his seat to at least be warm. I'm not ready to fire Poles.
Yeah.
I think that you do have to go up and go out and allow him to try and build an offensive line, to try and build some of the pieces on this team that we know that he can build, right? To try and add some pieces, and he has found talent for this team. He has.
Yeah, he has.
But I mean, it's just it's one of those things where it's like you drafted a kid, and you're going to ruin that young man because you didn't want to build an offensive line. Maybe because you didn't want to build an offensive line, at least for the guy before.
There is that.
But like that's just, for me, looking at the offensive line, looking at the coaching staff that's in place, those are my biggest reasons for concern. Those are my biggest reasons that I look at and I'm just like, not to say, again, I'm not ready to fire Ryan Poles. I'm ready to fire Matt Eberflus. I'm not ready to fire Ryan Poles. I'm not ready to move on from him because I do think that he is a good GM. I do think that he is somebody who can put a team together. We haven't seen somebody be able to build a collection of talent like this, but can he bring people in who can apparently address his blind spot?
Yeah. And even by comparison, who's the GM just got let go in New York? The Jets
Joe
GM.
Douglas. Joe Douglas is gone.
I mean, Joe Douglas, a couple years ago, everybody was praising him for the fact that, hey, you brought Aaron Rodgers in here. You were about to revive this team. You know, you got a young up and coming star in Garrett Wilson. Their defense was really, really good with Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. Like you CJ Mosley, like you had players all over the place, and the
wildest part of that is firing the guy that was running the defense.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But anyway,
no, you're right. But I mean, like the ultimate point that I'm trying to make is when it's not working, like those type of teams, they move forward, they move on. And as I said, from year to year, you evaluate it. So it's unfortunate that Aaron Rodgers got hurt. That's not something that he could control. But because they haven't seen the results of, well, we thought he would come in here and beat old Aaron Rodgers and we would be, at the very least, a playoff contender. Now we're still struggling with him back. And so that's the type of scrutiny or judgment that I want this Bears organization to give Ryan Poles. Yes, you really did a great job coming in here and in a sense changing the culture by fleecing the Carolina Panthers. But again, you can't just sit on that. You can't just sit on the fact that, okay, I did this. Now let me kind of just kick up and see how it all plays out for the next 10 years. No, get off your feet, get off your butt, and continue to make this team better year after year. You failed this season. Just like Matt Eberflus failed this season, you failed.
Yeah. No, and it does come down to that. Like this has been a year of, to me, a wasted year. Hopefully you're able to get it back on track. Hopefully Thomas Brown is a good enough offensive coordinator that you still get that development out of Caleb Williams and things like that. But I agree with you. You did fail. You know what I mean? To this point, you have failed Caleb Williams. I said this week 3 of the season, week 4 of the season, when Caleb Williams was getting his head bludgeoned in. I mean, I was like, listen, like, there's no way you just did this again. You just got rid of the guy that you said, we don't want to put a quarterback in that position, so that's why we're doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, so it's one of those things where, but the difference, I will say, right? You bring up the Joe Douglas situation. The difference in that, the difference in kind of why Ryan Poles is not in a Joe Douglas situation, to me, mostly comes down to the fact that Ryan Poles still has room to work. Joe Douglas has no room to work. This is your team. Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work, thanks for playing the work version of our game. Have a good life. Like, that's all he has. Like, this Aaron Rodgers regime ain't gonna work. You bet it all on Aaron Rodgers. You wanted the old Aaron Rodgers, and instead you got the old Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like, that's why he got fired. Ryan Poles still has cap space. Ryan Poles still has Ryan Poles still has draft capital. Ryan Poles still has, you know what I mean? Like, there's still a bunch of things that Ryan Poles can add in the offseason to improve this team. There are. I'm not going to pretend like they're not, you know what I mean? But it's about actually going out there and getting that guy.
Yeah.
It's about actually going out there and getting that impact player. It's about actually going out there and getting the blue chip pieces. That's what I'm looking for in the offensive line. I don't see one blue chip piece on this offensive line you've been trying to piece together for 3 years. I thought maybe Darnell Wright was one. Year 2 seems like he's taking a massive step back. You know what I mean? Like, we're impressed by the Caleb Williams throw, and all I see on that play is Darnell Wright trying to hold on to his guy and getting cooked to the inside. Like, it's one of those things for me where I need to see you start to hit on those pieces more. I think you hit on Caleb Williams. I think you hit on Rome Odunze. I guess based on just hits and misses, you hit on Torrey Taylor, kind of.
All right, you better put that name in there.
I don't know. He's throwing some Aaron punts out there.
All right. He's awarded a few.
But I do think that like your misses are some of the ones where it's like it's where you've spent your most money at. It's where you're trying to find the answers, and it just seems like you can't.
Well, you can't at the positions that you apparently are supposed to be evaluating the best. And like we jokingly have been saying this whole season, don't pick players that played like you on the offensive line. But the fact that you played offensive line, no, that is not a joke.
I was for real.
The fact that you were an offensive lineman, you should know how it should look. At the very least, is my thing. So that's why, again, I find this to be an issue of it. That seat can get pretty hot because your evaluation of what's needed, or what's I would say what's probably one of the few positions that are left to be upgraded is still kind of shaky. And so that's why you going into this draft with as many picks as possible to get it right. You mentioned blue chip players. Yeah, there possibly are not any on this line because Darnell Wright has taken a step back. Tevin Jenkins is constantly hurt. And so outside of that, Braxton Jones was always a developmental piece. Coleman Shelton is somebody who was a backup and got let go by another team. Matt Pryor, same thing. Ryan Bates, same thing. Blake Curran, I forget his name, same thing. Jake Curran, same thing. Like you got a lot of guys that are supposed to be the substitutes for the starting lineup, and now we need the actual starters to somehow come out of nowhere. And so that's why this offseason is so important. We need to see that, can you evaluate talent at those positions that are most important? Can you evaluate the right left tackle who has actually some meat on his legs? Can you evaluate, a center? No, and it doesn't look like a toothpick, or doesn't look like a pair of teeth. So that's my thing. Is that's where I think you find maybe he's at a critical crossroads. Is, hey, make sure you're addressing the protection and getting that special talent on this line.
Yeah, no, 100%. Let's hope that we can find that. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think that Ryan Poles is on the hot seat? Let's hope that we can keep that thing moving in the right direction by the time we get to this offseason, because it feels like you're moving forward. Feels like you got these pieces. Definitely feels like you have the young pieces. Do you got the Hogs up front? Again, I always love the Jeff Saturday conversation where he's like, I showed up and they told Peyton Manning, 1, 2, 3, throw it away. I'm like, Jeff, you showed up.
That's the point. That's the point.
What was the difference in Peyton Manning year 1 to year 2? Jeff, you showed up. You were in the building. Like, that's the difference.
Jeez, man. Goodness.
Let's keep this thing moving along, though, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Now we have to give our 3 key players to a Chicago Bears victory. Sorry.